Hey there, tech enthusiasts. Welcome to another learning cybersecurity practice. Yes, all your best practices needs in your cybersecurity space. You're going to learn it here. So just imagine waking up to find that your organization's most sensitive data has actually been compromised. So maybe for those working in healthcare organizations, maybe your patient's confidential information has been exposed. Or maybe you work in a financial institution, your customer or client's confidential information has been exposed and your operations grinding to a halt. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to hear that. This is just like sad news. So the fallout from a data breach can actually be very catastrophic. But what if you had the power to actually prevent it? And that's what we're going to talk about: data protection and loss prevention, your best practices. What can you do? What can you do? So, we're going to actually talk about how to safeguard your healthcare organization or your financial organization's valuable data from this ever-present world of threats of cyber attack because it goes on every single day. They don't rest. No, they don't rest. So we have to keep updating ourselves and knowing what to do at every point in time. What are the things you can implement? What are the policies you have to follow? What are the procedures? What are the educational practices that would help you to actually fortify your defenses and ensure the security of your digital environment? So, we're going to talk about some real world strategies from setting clear data management expectations to actually leveraging the latest technologies in data loss prevention. So, whether you're actually running maybe a small clinic, large hospitals, small organization, small financial organization, or a large financial organization, or just a regular small business, whatever case it is, the tips I'm going to share with you today would help you to protect sensitive information and so that you can comply with regulations and maintain the trust you have with your patients or clients. Don't let your organization become a statistic, right? Don't let it become a statistic. Just let's get into mastering data protection and loss prevention so that you can take control of your company's take control of your cybersecurity today and just be ready to make your company data breach proof. Mm-hmm. You just need to understanding the importance of this data protection and loss prevention is both very, very crucial for your organization, especially those in the healthcare sector or the financial sector, where this is really huge and where loss or maybe exposure of sensitive data, it can just lead to huge consequences. So we're going to talk about key practices and procedures that can help you to safeguard this effectively. So when does so first let's talk about the importance of data protection and loss prevention. Like when does a security breach occur? You can say that a security breach actually occurs when the sensitive data, maybe like business information or maybe a patient's protected health information or financial information, credit card information, is lost or even exposed. And these impacts of such breaches can be far reaching. So it can lead to operational disruptions. So you're trying to prevent things like operational disruption. And how can this be prevented? So once you operational disruptions, users will just be unable to complete their task accurately or timely. And once you protect data protection and loss prevention, it helps to with patient safety or client safety or so once there's compromised data, it can lead to like severe consequences for the patient treatment and well-being. Patients will be confident enough to want to be treated. And then it can also lead to reputation damage. You want to avoid that at all costs. Reputation damage is not something you want for your organization. Reputation damage. And trust in the organization can actually be significantly damaged if data is not properly protected or is lost. There are actually some practices that you can actually go about with your organization so that you can prevent um all of this data loss. You can prevent it. So this data loss prevention is usually based on understanding where the data resides, like where is it accessed. Mm. So where data resides and where data is accessed and how it is shared. So what we're going to be focusing on, we'll talk about policies, procedures, and generally education. So let's start with policies. What policies do you need to know? What policies do you need to be aware of? As usual, you can always get this from the NIST framework reference. So when we talk about data protection and loss prevention, we have to establish clear policies. And these policies usually help us set the foundation for how sensitive data can be managed and protected within the organization. So you have to follow details that outline how to create effective data protection policies in line with NIST framework reference. So for these policies, we'll talk about the NIST framework IDGV1, which is governance policies. We have governance policies, which is organizational information security policy that will be established. And then another one is the IDAM5, which is asset management policy. Asset management policy. So the resources would be like maybe example like hardware, devices, data, and systems. They're usually identified and managed consistently with their relative importance to the organization's objectives and risk strategy. So we have to learn how to establish organization expectations. Establish organizational expectations. Expectation setting. You have to set clear expectations of how employees should manage sensitive data. So most healthcare workers or maybe financial people working in financial institutions, the employees they actually work with sensitive data every single day. So policies help to remind them of the importance of vigilance. Then data classification policy. You have to learn to classify data classification policy. Categorizing data into groups, like you have sensitive, you have to classify data as whether data is sensitive, whether it's internal use. You have to classify whether it's public use. And it helps to determine the appropriate level of protection for each type of data. So sometimes, for some example of data classification, you have highly sensitive, you have internal, you have public. And for highly sensitive, so we have, let's say, for highly sensitive classification, it might just mean that maybe social security numbers, credit card numbers, mental health information, substance abuse information, sexually transmitted infection information, maybe access to these data. No, actually, access to these data actually needs to be restricted to users who only require it and who demonstrate proper authentication at login. So such data must be managed in compliance with applicable regulatory requirements. Or maybe social security numbers, credit card, and so on. Then you have the ones that are just generally sensitive. So all other protected health information, maybe data associated with designated record sets. So like maybe clinical research data would come under sensitive. Maybe insurance information or generally just human employ or the employees' data or organizational board materials. Another classification would be internal, and that's just data that should be protected and considered highly sensitive. So, like organizational policies and procedures, contracts, business plans, contract strategy. Business strategies, business corporate strategy, business development plans, internal business communications. All these are internal. And then we have the final one, public. This one is just data approved for public distribution with no restrictions on use. Then you also have to have encryptment requirements as part of the policies, like unencrypted storage. So you have to prohibit the use of unencrypted storage devices, like maybe thumb drives or mobile phones. You have to require encryption for all mobile storage mediums so that you can prevent unauthorized access. So that's it for policies. Next, we talk about procedures. What are the procedures that we're supposed to be aware of in order to prevent data loss? And as usual, we always have to go back to NIST framework. NIST framework references. And once you have your detailed procedures that help to manage your sensitive data, it's really important for consistency to help to reduce errors, to provide clear instructions. And these procedures actually align with NIST framework references and help to ensure that the protection and proper handling of data within the organization. Some of the references we can be talking about is IDGV1, that's governance policies. to organizational information security policy is established PR 81. That's protect awareness and training. So all users are informed and actually trained. So whether regardless of whatever roles or responsibilities are they have, so that you can maintain data security. We have PRDS 2, which is protect data security. That's data in transit to be protected. We have PRDS 5, protect data security. That's data protections that are implemented for removable media. Then we also have the PRDS 1. That's protect data security. That's data at rest to be protected. We have PRIP 6. You protect information protection processes and procedures. So data is destroyed according to policy. Then we also have the IDGV 3, which is governance policies, legal and regulatory requirements regarding cybersecurity, including privacy and civil liberties obligations that are actually understood and managed. Then we have to know data management. Data management consistency. So how to develop data usage procedures. So you have to use data classification to establish procedures for data use, identify who can access sensitive data and under what circumstances they can. Then protected health information transmission. You have to train employees so that they can follow procedures. They have to be able to follow procedures when transmitting protected health information, whether through emails. All you have to encrypt all protected health information through email or text. Patients actually can actually request unencrypted communication after being warned about the risk, but everything has to be protected. There should be secure messaging, like use applications like direct secure messaging for transmitting protected health information. And this direct secure messaging just helps to provide a secure national protocol for healthcare organizations. Then, in order to constantly manage data, you have to do data loss prevention technologies. You have to implement technologies to help mitigate unauthorized access to protected health information, consult IT providers for appropriate solutions. And then there needs to be backup and archive management. How does this happen? You need to be able to instruct staffs that they should never back up their data on uncontrolled devices or maybe like a personal cloud service. So any backup has to comply with organizational security standards. Then archiving data protection. Just monitor access to any archived data so that it can detect any cyber attacks promptly. You promptly dispose of any obsolete data that you don't need anymore so that it can prevent recovery by any unauthorized parties. And then finally, we'll talk about education, which is the most important aspect, in my opinion, though, like because your people are your greatest vulnerabilities. And we'll also discuss it with reference to NIST framework. Reference. Education is really, really critical. It's a huge component of any cybersecurity strategy, especially when it comes to like data protection and loss prevention. So you have to ensure like all personnel is properly trained and aware of their roles and responsibilities. And it's essential for maintaining that secure digital environment. So the NIC framework we talk about is MPR. That's it. That's protects awareness and training. So this reference just emphasizes the importance of ensuring that every user is informed and trained regarding their roles and responsibilities in maintaining data security. And you ask, what is the importance of this? So you're wondering, what is the importance? Why do we need this? And why are we educating people? In cybersecurity, effective training and awareness programs will help you to one, reduce human error. So many security breaches occur due to human error, such as maybe to just click on a phishing email or just misconfiguring a system. But once you train them, it just helps reduce these errors. It helps to also promote best practices. Once you educate your employees on best practices for data protection, it just ensures that they follow proper procedures and protocols. It helps to enhance compliance. Once you train your employees, just ensure that these employees understand and comply with legal and regulatory requirements, maybe such as those related to the protected health information under HIPAA. It helps you to build a security culture. So continuous education just helps like you foster a culture of security within the organization and you make the security a shared responsibility. It's all our work to make that place secure. So what are the components of an effective training program? Components of an effective training program. So you have to do regular training sessions. Regular training sessions have to be done. You have to conduct annual or semi-annual training sessions so they can keep all personnel updated on the latest cybersecurity threats, best practices, and organizational policies. You make sure you cover topics such as data encryption, secure protected health information transmission, recovering phishing attempts, importance of strong passwords. Like just for example, you can just hold quarterly cybersecurity workshops where every staff will just learn about the latest ransomware threats and how to avoid them. There also has to be like interactive and engaging training materials. So you train interactive and training materials. So training sessions should also be engaging, interactive to ensure that employees retain the information. You can use videos, quizzes, case studies, hands-on exercises just to make the training more interactive. Like you develop maybe an online course that includes simulations of phishing attacks, allowing the employees to practice identifying and responding to specific threats. You can also do role specific training. So you can just do different roles within the organization or just have different security needs and responsibilities. So you tailor the training programs to address the specific requirements and also the risk associated with different job roles. So, for example, maybe you just provide specialized training for IT staff on advanced security measures while like offering basic cybersecurity awareness training for maybe administrative staff. You also have to do incident response training. Employees should actually know how to respond in the event of a security incident. So incidents it can include like incident response protocols, like maybe training, teaching employees how to report security incidents and what steps they have to take immediately. For example, like conducting regular drills, simulations of security incidents like data breaches, phishing attacks, or even just ensure that they're prepared to respond effectively. In continuous learning and updates, cybersecurity is a constantly evolving field, and we need to stay updated every single time, like providing ongoing education and updates on new threats, technologies, and best practices. For example, like subscribe to cybersecurity newsletters, webinars, industry conferences, so that we can keep employees informed about the latest development. Then we can discuss monitoring and evaluation. So you assess training effectiveness. You regularly evaluate the effectiveness of training programs so that you ensure that it's meeting its objective. Use assessments, use quizzes, use feedback surveys just to measure employees' understanding and the retention of the training material. So after every training, you just give a quiz, test employees' knowledge, and just know whether they need more like further clarification. And then you track the compliance. How can you track this? You ensure that all the employees that come like they complete the required training sessions. Then you maintain records of the training attendance and completion to ensure that it's compliance with it's in compliance with organizational policies and regulatory requirements. So for example, you can use learning management systems to track and report on trainings and completion rates and individual employee progress. So when we do all of these things, what threats are we mitigating? Because this is also a goal, because it saves us from a lot of loss. As usual, ransomware attacks. We always mitigate ransomware attacks, which protects data from being encrypted and held for ransom by attackers. Then we always prevent loss or theft of equipment or data. Loss of loss or theft of equipment of data. So it prevents unauthorized access if the devices are lost or stolen. And then we also prevent accidental or intentional data loss. Accidental or intentional data loss. So this just reduces the risk of data being accidentally deleted or intentionally compromised by insiders. So I hope you've been able to understand the data loss and loss prevention. Just remember the strength of your organization's cybersecurity is only as strong as its weakest link. So once you implement these practices that we've discussed, setting robust policies, enforcing consistent procedures, um, setting robust policies, enforcing consistent procedures, and educating your staff, you can actually build a formidable defense against data breaches. Just think of the organization as a fortress where each policy, procedure, and training session just adds an extra layer of protection. Just adds an extra layer. You can think of it like this. It's just adding an extra layer of protection, safeguarding the invaluable data that is inside. It's not just about compliance, it's also ensuring like there's trust of your clients, patients, or stakeholders, and the integrity of your operations. So I hope this video has been able to equip you with the knowledge and tools for you to take your data protection efforts to the next level. So don't wait for a breach to happen. Be proactive and vigilant in your approach to cybersecurity. Stay informed, stay prepared, and continue to fortify your defenses. Thank you so much for joining me today to mastering your data protection and loss prevention. If you found this video really helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insights and tips on keeping your organization secure and best practices generally. Until next time, stay secure and vigilant. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.